There's a lot of talk about the IBR plan right now, and a lot of people are wondering, should I stay on this plan? Should I get off? Should I just give up on IBR altogether? The answer is most people should not give up on IBR. IBR is still going to be around in some form or fashion long term. The only question is how generous will the terms be? So for example, one proposal out there is that everybody would pay 15% of income for 10 years on PSLF or 25 years if you're in the private sector. If that was the only option out there and you had a lot of student debt, say more than your income, what you might want to think about is that when you take a federal loan and make it a private loan, that is a permanent commitment. You cannot undo that. You are stuck paying it back no matter what happens with your income or your job satisfaction, job, career prospect, whatever, right? So taking your loans off the federal system to the private system needs to carry a very large benefit. Now, usually we see those large benefits happen for people who have income that's larger than their student debt. They can cut their interest rate at least 1% or more compared to what they're paying the federal government. So that would be an example of somebody that might want to consider refinancing their student loans. But everybody else is probably better off with a wait and see approach. In addition, people in the public sector from an employment perspective also probably need to be a little careful, because we just don't know what's going to happen if a different president from a different party would win in 2028. That could have a lot of bearing on what to do as well. So for example, anybody who has debt that's twice their income or more really needs to go for forgiveness no matter what. And so IBR is a great plan for those people. And it's just the question is how much or little will you have to pay on your loans? Now, if you have a debt to income ratio below 1 to 1, the only group of people that should go for any kind of forgiveness would be PSLF folks that are public sector workers, that already have several years of credit towards forgiveness if you have debt that's smaller than your income. Now, if you're in between, you have 1 to 2 times your income in student debt, then the question is, should you go for forgiveness? The answer is it depends. And if you're in this in-between zone, then you probably want to hang out on IBR until we get more clarity. And some people will want to hang out on IBR and pay the minimum until we find out who wins the 2028 election, because of how much sway that's going to have on what kind of loan programs will be around in 2028 and after. So just something to think about, right? When you're weighing, should you stay on IBR, just keep in mind that you can't undo it when you get off of it, like permanently, and take your loan to the private system. You can get back on IBR if you have federal loans and switch to a plan and then you switch back to it. And if you're considering maybe a different kind of IBR program, you might not even have a choice at some point. The government might just consolidate all the options and say you have one option, you have to go with this or else, So I would just say deep breaths, this too shall pass. Get on the IBR plan when possible, especially if you have a high debt to income ratio, especially if you have more student debt than your income. That's a real critical takeaway. For more stuff like this, follow Student Loan Planner.